Welcome back, folks, for a new episode of Rapid Fire Leaked. And today we'll finish up with the rest of the low-tier Swedish light tanks and medium tanks that are coming in patch 9.17. So these vehicles are more or less light tanks or medium tanks without armor, but their playstyle, their strengths, and weaknesses are more or less the same as the heavy tanks that succeeds them. So they don't have the armor, but they have the gun depression, and the mobility, and the penetration. So you should play these vehicles like campers. So hill campers and whack-a-mole tactics. So similar to the Strv 74 or the Mil 1, but don't rely on the turret. So at tier 1, we have the Strv FM21. So this was a Swedish development of the LK2 German tank. It's basically a boot, but this vehicle is not that fast. Top speed is only 16 kilometers per hour. Horsepower per ton ratio is 6.25. The original armament is a machine gun. So, yep. And here are the collision models of the boot, the Swedish boot. Armor-wise, the maximum armor is 14mm. So, it's a tier 1, but still, yeah, you're not bouncing any shots anytime soon. So here are the main stats for the FM21. As you can see, it has pretty good dispersion, and terrain resistance is pretty good. Health is quite chunky for tier 1, has the view range, and it's an autoloader with a 20mm autoloader. So you could clip out a tier 1 with the full penetration and full damage of the burst, but the penetration is low, DPM is low, accuracy, aim time, traverse, gun angles, camouflage, and horsepower per ton ratio with the top speed and armor all are below, yeah, very below average. So take a look at the horsepower per ton ratio. It's 6.1. Wow, that's bad. And top speed is 20 kilometers per hour. So I don't mind the penetration or the damage or the alpha or the accuracy, whatever. But if you have a 6.1 horsepower per ton ratio with only 20 kilometers per hour top speed, this is slow. This is like TOG's levels of speed. Even worse, I believe. The TOG has like 8 point something horsepower per ton ratio. But yeah, 6.1. That's pretty bad. So overall rating, 1.5 out of 5. Yeah, just because the horsepower per ton ratio. And yeah, you'll probably want to free XP past this vehicle. Just free XP it. It's only like 100 free XP. It's not that bad. At tier 2, we have the Strv M38. So this was an evolution upgrade to the Landsverk L60, the upcoming gift tank for this holiday season. So it's a modified version, has a 20mm autocannon, top speed of 45 kilometers per hour, a lot faster compared to the tier 1 because the better suspension upgrades and engine. So it's a whole different can of worms. It's not that bad anymore. So here are the collision models of this tank. As you can see, the maximum armor is only 18mm all the way around. So you're not bouncing shots. It's a light tank, obviously. But here are the main stats of the M38. So as you can see, penetration is great for tier 2, in my opinion, because you want to penetrate the French, which are 40mm all the way around. It has 55mm of penetration, so that's pretty good. Alpha's good, DPM's great for tier 2, accuracy, aim time. Gun depression is 15 degrees, elevation is 25. That's pretty amazing for tier 2. Then again, some of the other tier 2s are like 20 degrees of gun depression, give or take, but it's still pretty good with a 37mm. That's still pretty good. Horsepower per ton ratio is alright in my opinion, but compared to the other light tanks of tier 2, it could be better, but 17.5 is not that bad. Top speed of 45 kilometers per hour, good. Terrain resistance is not that bad. Has the accuracy, the aim time, the gun angles, the traverse, the health. Camouflage rating is also pretty good. And yeah, it's a decent tier 2. The view range is kind of below average. Horsepower per ton ratio could be better. Dispersion, some parts. And armor is not that great. But overall, it's a very fair tier 2 light tank. So I'll give it 3 and 3/4 out of 5. So yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's not like 3. 3 is average, right? 3 is below average. 3.5 is average, so it's a slightly above average. It's good. At tier 3, we have the Strv M40L. So this is a modified variant of the L60 with a little bit more capabilities. Has a 37mm Wolfers gun, better engine slightly. Horsepower per ton ratio is reduced a little bit based on the weight, yada yada yada. So modifications, applique armor. They did not put the applique armor on this version, so that sucks, but whatever. It's a light tank. So here you can see the collision models. It has 50mm of frontal armor. Wow, that's actually very good for a tier 3. Autocannons like the Panzer III or Panzer 1Cs, nope. Panzer 2Gs. Panzer 2Gs has like 100mm of pin with the autocannon, and that's scary, but the reload is like 20 seconds or so. But it's pretty good for a tier 3 to have 50mm of sloped armor. So it's a light tank too. That's good. So here are the main stats. Penetration is great. 78mm of pin. So you could actually face a KV-1 and could penetrate with normal armor, provided that you shoot point blank into the frontal plate. Unsloped, but still. That's a pretty good penetration. Accuracy is good. Aim time is good. It fires APCR as the default ammo. So shell velocity is pretty fast. Camouflage is great. Gun depression, view range, armor, yeah, all are good. The alpha is quite low for tier 3. DPM is also not that great. Traverse for the hull and turret is also below average. And HP is below average. But for tier 3, with that kind of penetration and that kind of view range and camouflage values, it's pretty good. So 3.75, I would give it a 4, but horsepower per ton ratio could be slightly better, but that's based on the Panzer 1Cs and yada other crap. So if this thing has like 25 horsepower per ton ratio with 15 degrees of gun depression, it could scout a lot more. And if it had like 1,500 DPM, it would be amazing. But it's a tier 3, and tier 3s are not been or haven't been played that much to be like super seal clubbing. But then again, everybody just played the Panzer 1Cs. And just, yeah, everybody just played on Panzer 1C. Autocannons is super broken, but this thing could penetrate tier 5s. And that's what makes it so good. So, yeah, above average. At tier 4, we have the Lago medium tank. So this was developed from the L60 with a bigger chassis, widened it. So, yeah, it's basically a Lago, or basically a L60 turned into a medium tank. So they up-armored the frontal plate, give it a 47 or 57mm main gun. So yeah, that's a medium tank out of it. But here are the collision models of this tank. So the maximum armor is only 34mm. It's a downgrade from tier 3. Surprisingly, it's a downgrade from a light tank's armor. Yeah, it has pretty good gun depression, but still, come on. So here are the main stats of this vehicle. It's not as good in terms of the gun depression, even though it's 10 degrees. It was 15 on the, 40L. What? So alpha is pretty good, 110 for a tier 4. So that's good. But the penetration is the same as the tier 3, I mean. So it's alright, but you should use the 57mm, in my honest opinion. And this has the penetration to go through tier 6s, which you will face with this matchmaking. But you don't have the alpha. I don't know about the DPM, but DPM is actually quite good for tier 4. 1,700? Yeah. Aim time's good. Accuracy's good. Dispersion's good. Gun depression, yeah. Traverse is a little bit slow. Horsepower per ton ratio is good, but top speed is slow. Terrain resistance, yeah, counterbalance the horsepower per ton ratio. So terrain resistance could be better. Health is average. View range is average, but does have some camo. So the penetration of the 75 is a little bit wonky, and I would recommend using the 57. And it may help with the traverse of the gun, but who knows. and the armor is not that great as well. So I'll give it a 3 out of 5. I mean, it's not that bad. It has the alpha and the DPM and the dispersion to shoot on the move, but I would recommend using the 57. At tier 5, we had the Strv M42, so this vehicle was the basis of the Strv 74, the Strv M42, 57, alternate number 2, yada yada yada, and a few other IKVs. So, very popular. The Sherman of the Swedes. So yeah, it has a 75mm, about decent shape of a hull. Top armor, the maximum armor is 55mm, so about the same as a Sherman. A little bit better than a T-34, but T-34 has sloping, so meh. But here are the collision models of this tank. So maximum armor is only 55. And yeah, it's basically a AC4 or yeah, AC Sentinel tank, if you will, with a 57. Like any other Sherman tanks or like what's other common tanks? Chinook? Ugh. So here are the main stats of this vehicle. The alpha is very good, 150 compared to 110 or so on the Sherman. DPM is great, accuracy, hull traverse and turret traverse. Gun angles are great, 15 degrees of gun depression, 25 elevation. Traverse is also very good to help with the readjustment of the turret and relocation of the turret to find other targets. So good. Camo is good. Horsepower per ton ratio is also good, and it could fit a derp gun, a derp 105. So yeah, it's like a Sherman tank. Aim time is kind of bad for the 75mm. It's alright, but 2.4 seconds is like the FE 4202, and yeah, it could be better, but you probably will fit a enhanced gun lane drive for this vehicle. So if you want to keep it, but just be wary of the aim time. Terrain resistance is below average to counterbalance the high horsepower per ton ratio. Fair, I guess. Top speed is kind of slow. Health is below average. You could get one-shotted from a high roll of the 122 that's on the KV85, so be a little bit worried. But this will see tier 7s, so you will see the likes of the SU-122-44s or E25s, so use the gun depression to your advantage. And the armor is not that great, so you should use the armor, or use the gun depression to negate for the armor. And overall rating, it's not a bad medium tank, but you see a lot of these at tier 5, like Shermans, Chinooks, AC4 Sentinels, even though that's tier 6, blah blah blah, you know, the same kind of concept with the medium tanks. You see a lot of those, like the Skruda T24s, the Japanese already mentioned those, the Chinukai, the Chinook, the British have the Crusader, but Crusader is actually a light tank, has medium tank matchmaking. Funny enough, but you know what I mean. So yeah, bunch of medium tanks of the same era, about the same characteristics. So this is a fair vehicle, very fair, but you see a lot of those, so meh. So overall, the Swedish Hybrid line seems like the lower tiers are rather okay. Like you already see a lot of those in the game already. So a lot of the vehicles, a lot of the niches are covered. But the higher tiers are kind of disappointing because the Emil 2 is basically the same as the Kremvon, and both have low DPM, and penetration is a little bit wonky for both vehicles. So the higher tiers are just out of the question. The STRV-74 has low ammo capacity, I remember, and the Leo has low penetration, so still a little bit wonky niches, but they have the gun depressions or the speed to help you with that. But the prize of the hybrid line, the sweet spot, is the Emil 1, and that will be like a 4.5 or 5 out of 5 for the whole branch. But as for the rest of the branch, I would give it 2.75 out of 5 for this whole entire line. So it's not that exciting unless you want to go for the Emil 1. Otherwise, I would recommend the Tank Destroyer line because you will keep stuff like the UDE SO3, Stuff like the IKV 65 alternate number 2 or the IKV 90 Type B, those are pretty good, and you lead the way up to the S tank, which is iconic of a vehicle. So all the vehicles of the tank destroyer line is pretty interesting, whereas the vehicles in the hybrid line, it's mostly pointed towards the middle 1, so I'll give it average, below average, 2.75 out of 5. But there you go, folks. I finally finished all of the Swedish vehicles. Whew, it's pretty rough. You're packing two tank lines into one patch, and that's a lot of vehicles to cover. Last year I covered the Japanese heavies and the Czechoslovakian mediums, but not with the same kind of format that you see right now. So used to be I just show you some JPEGs and yeah, just talking about it, but now it's a little bit prettier and I'll spend a little bit more time analyzing stuff, and yeah, so it does take more time, and it's squeezed together for 2 tech trees into one, or 2 tech branches of the tank lines into one, whereas previously the Japanese heavies and the Czechoslovakian mediums are separated by 4 months or 3 months. So finally done. But we'll cover with the test server the upcoming premium vehicles like the Chrysler K, which is like a VK4502P OS-B for the Americans, and there's the revival of the Lorraine 40T, and the Moishen, the mouse train, is coming back with the second mini branch of German heavy tank destroyer, heavy tank line, super heavy tank line from the Porsche Tiger. So it will go from the Porsche Tiger into the Mammut, and then into the Moishen, and back into the mouse. So pretty exciting, but I'll cover it. I'll be waiting for the test server coming tomorrow, so super hyped. But there you go, folks. All the Swedish vehicles. I'm done, so huzzah. But thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Who are you? The proud Lord said that I must bow so